Religion. Can you speak about religions and their true mission? Religion is that which binds you to the background. But unfortunately, no religion interprets it in this ultimate sense. All religions have the common goal to help man to lead a relatively moral, happy, and contented life. Religion has been the greatest force and sanction in the world to keep man wedded to relative morality and goodness in life. It caters only to the satisfaction value in response to the desires of man, which are various according to countries and customs, manners and temperaments of people. Religion helps its adherents to prepare the ground by considerably attenuating their ego. When the ego is thus sufficiently attenuated so as to enable them to imbibe the ultimate truth, the exceptional few get a guru of true compassion who initiates them into the ultimate truth. So far as every religion goes, it is quite good and helpful to the followers. But Vedanta comes in to supplement what religion had not been able to do. Thus, Vedanta is, strictly speaking, the fulfillment of all religions. It is no quarrel with any religion. Vedanta says to every religion, please do not stop where you do. Come up higher still. Religious teachers in their instructions, as a rule, do not help one to go beyond the relative. Their goal itself is only the maximum of enjoyable happiness in duality. Some of the ancient devotees of Hindu personal gods had the good fortune to get at the ultimate truth in spite of the retarding influence of religion. After establishing themselves in the truth, they looked back and analyzed the stand they had formerly taken in religion. Now they could easily discover the slip they had made in religion, but they could not deny the immense purity of mind obtained through religion. This, of course, gave the devotee a good chance of imbibing the ultimate truth, if only his attention was earnestly drawn towards truth. Therefore, the ancient devotee sages codified and arranged the experiences they had along the path of ultimate truth and added it on to Hindu religion in the name of darshana, or in-seeing, even though in fact the darshana was a complete negation of religion. Darshana is pure Advaita Vedanta. The mere fact that it is added on to certain Hindu religious texts does not make it part of Hindu religion. It is the fulfillment of all religions, including the Hindu religion. Well, can you speak of religion and its scope? Religion rests upon blind faith in so-called revelations, scriptures, and a personal God. Human tastes and tendencies differ all over the world. Religions respond to the diverse tastes and tendencies, and so inevitably multiply differences. Religions propose only to help man to lead a good, just, and moral life on earth. For that purpose, each religion has invented its own temptations and threats in the form of heaven and hell. They also recommend a strict code of ethics to guide their followers. Each religion insists upon the adoption of its ethics, just so far as it can serve its own limited phenomenal purpose. If pressed beyond these arbitrary limits, the same ethics destroy even the foundations of the religion and its personal God. And this is what Vedanta does. The practice of ethics involves a certain amount of self-sacrifice. When practiced to the very end, every ethical law takes one to selflessness. This means the certain death of the ego, which no religion contemplates, but which Vedanta wishes to achieve. Therefore, the Guru of Compassion can even make use of the ethics of religion to lead its devotees to the ultimate truth. Religion does not seem to recognize the scope and the potentialities of its own ethics. Though unknowingly, even religion, through ethics, advocates Vedanta. Therefore, Vedanta is the fulfillment of all religions. Renunciation. What is renunciation? Your real nature is renunciation itself. Renunciation of doership and enjoyership from all your activities is real renunciation. Renunciation can never be made. It is the natural effect of directing your attention to your real nature. So how can an ordinary man attain renunciation? When you are engaged in any action, thought, or other activity, all the world except for that one activity is dead, so far as you are concerned. This can really be called vairagya, or detachment, or perfect dispassion, and that again in the most natural and effortless manner. Renunciation or sannyasa is not likely to annihilate one's samskaras, the habit-driven inclinations, even after the attainment of nirvikalpa samadhi in the yogic fashion. The tendency for renunciation shows a diffidence or unwillingness, a fear to look straight at the apparent world and analyze it to its very core. So the sannyasin sometimes chooses to get away from the apparently more dangerous parts of the world, relying upon his own mind and intellect, which are themselves part of the world, and which he must ultimately renounce. Thus, as the field of his inquiry is incomplete, his renunciation is also incomplete. The result of such an inquiry can never be satisfying. The inquiry can be complete only when he is able to visualize reality of his own self, even in the apparent variety. And to achieve this, the sannyasin, even after attaining nirvikalpa or unconditioned samadhi, has to labor afresh on the path of direct knowledge. So what then is the effect of renunciation? Renunciation is usually considered as a means to self-realization, but its effect is just the opposite. When you renounce an object, you actually attribute more concreteness and reality to it than when you are indifferent to it. Thus, renunciation, instead of proving the unreality of the world, makes it more real and frightful, though you are temporarily and conveniently kept away from parts of it. What is the significance of the ochre color of the sannyasin's robe? Ochre is the color of fire, and it is supposed to represent the fire of pure knowledge, which destroys the stains of the mind, namely the tama, raja, and sattva guna. The external color of the robe is expected to remind the sadhak or spiritual aspirant about his ultimate goal of truth. But to the householder on the direct path to the truth, every object, thought, feeling, or perception is an ochre-colored robe in effect, for they all point to his real nature. True renunciation is renunciation of objects from your consciousness of objects, leaving you as consciousness in its purity. And looking from there, you see form to be nothing other than yourself. And so you absorb all objects into yourself and rest in peace, just as you do in deep sleep. So also, physical renunciation is intended only to take you to reality. Looking back from there, you see the objects renounced as nothing other than reality, and so you can readily absorb them all back into yourself. Then alone do you attain real peace. Is there renunciation in vichara, self-inquiry? Renunciation, like everything else, has two aspects, its form and its essence. Paths like those of karma, devotion, sannyasa, and yoga emphasize both these aspects, sometimes the form even more than the essence. But for those who follow the path of jnana, or vichara, the essence of renunciation alone is emphasized, and the form practically ignored. So much so that an acquaintance of a modern sage who adopted the direct path for instruction once told him that he wished to accept the path chalked out by him, since it called for no kind of renunciation at any stage of one's life. Because to all appearance, the sage was leading an ideal domestic life. But to this, the sage replied, "Well, my friend, you are sorely mistaken. It is not the physical renunciation that really counts. If it did, every destitute beggar would be a sannyasin. He can claim to have renounced much and to possess little. But it is that preparedness to renounce everything you possess, including your own life, if it is necessary for the attainment of truth, which really matters. You can never reach that ultimate if there is any one little thing in the world which you are not prepared to renounce in order to reach the ultimate. That preparedness to renounce everything makes one a real sannyasin. Any amount of physical renunciation without that complete preparedness to renounce everything makes you only a prisoner in your own self-made mental fetters. You are not much better than a prisoner behind iron bars. Therefore, the ideal of life for one who takes to self-inquiry should be inwardly a perfect sannyasin and outwardly to live like a man of the world. The sage has renounced his life completely, but has kindly permitted life to cling to the truth for the time being, to be dismissed without notice whenever he chooses. The sage is always in the world, but not of it.